couple videos back, I talked about the newest Digimon series, the very Yu-Gi-Oh feeling card game-centric Digimon Liberator. Liberator isn't an anime or even a game, but is instead a free manga about a group of young adults in a virtual reality game built around the Digimon card game. In the last video, I praised the first few chapters of Digimon Liberator's full-color manga, but I also told you about a second storyline for Liberator. While Shoto and Taramon would take center stage in the manga, another duo, Yuuki and a brand new Impmon, star in the web novel Digimon Liberator Debug. We've since had 4 releases for Liberator Debug, where we got to know more about Yuuki, her personality, how she and Impmon get along, and learn how the story would approach Impmon's 3 new evolutions that are completely different from Beelzemon. So this is a quick video to let you know how Liberator Debug is going, at least from my perspective. Do we have a new iconic duo of tamers in Yuuki and her Impmon that can compete with the all-time greats like Tai and Agumon or Takato and Gyomon? Debug's hero, Yuuki, is a longtime player and beta tester of Digimon Liberator, essentially QA on a live service video game responsible for finding and fixing bugs within the game. Something that's immediately communicated in Debug Chapter 1.1 is Yuki's confidence. She's not a quiet or shy protagonist, and although well-meaning, she can be a bit blunt and even rude. This is a refreshing change-up from recent Digimon protagonists like Hiro from Ghost Game or Haru from Appmon, who definitely fall into that sweet boy category. Even Taichi from the Digimon Adventure 2020 reboot was kind of devoid of any personality flaws, just a virtuous, wholesome leader. So I'm kind of into Yuuki being a bit full of herself, being her own biggest fan, and it works especially well when juxtaposed with her partner Impmon. This version of Impmon is far more subdued than the rebellious, wisecracking version most of us remember from Tamers. Despite the devilish appearance, this Impmon is quiet, disciplined, the opposite of Yuuki in every way. I fully expected Impmon to be the troublemaker, with Yuuki having to rein the monster in, but it's the opposite here, with our new human protagonist wanting to charge blindly into battle, and her Impmon pulling her back, insisting they can't fight enemies without a battle plan. But hands down, the most noteworthy thing about Liberator's version of Impmon is the fact that it arrives with 3 completely new evolution forms. Punkmon, the champion level, is very much this anarchist, punk rocker dinosaur. One level up is Loudmon, a very direct remix of Metal Growlmon, but with Punkmon's purple skin, green hair, and amplifiers and other audio equipment for armor. Then at Mega is Heavy Metal Dramon, another twisted take on the Gyomon line. This is a spin on Mega Dramon, but somehow even more of a rage beast with electric guitars for wings and skeletal claws all over. Massive departure from Beelzemon, and this whole line is clearly echoing or referencing the Gyomon line, which others have stated this already, but it's likely an Easter egg alluding to the fact that at one point Impmon was meant to be the main partner Digimon in Tamers before Gyomon filled that role. One thing I found cool in the story of Liberator Debug, although Yuuki and Impmon will be relying on this new evolution line of Punkmon and beyond, it's not like Beelzemon doesn't exist or is unknown to the characters. We don't see the form in action, but we're told that digivolving Impmon to Beelzemon was kind of Yuki's go-to move in battles before the start of the series. So she's familiar with the old Mega just like we are, but the events of the story and the context of the battle she finds herself in have led her to use these new Impmon evolutions in battle. One thing I'm not convinced I love about the structure of Liberator is that in both Yuuki and Shoto's stories, we've already seen their champions, ultimates, and megas in the first couple chapters. I understand this is largely a reflection of the way the card game works, but in conventional Digimon stories, the human characters are sort of earning those evolutions one at a time over a long journey. Achieving champion, ultimate, mega, those were always milestone moments, breakthroughs in the characters' relationships to each other and to the world. Here, Yuuki already has access to all 3 of those brand new Impmon Evos, and Shoto has access to Taramon's evolutions as well. I'm sure they can find other ways to visualize growth and illustrate the strength of these characters' bonds, but they've lost one tried and tested method of doing so by dumping all the evolutions on us at once. I should also comment on the medium, on how we as fans interact with Liberator Debug. Much like 2023's Digimon Seekers, Debug is a web novel available to read on a Digimon-hosted website. Thankfully, the quality of the translation for Liberator Debug on these first few chapters seems much better than the first few chapters of Seekers. I'm still not convinced a web novel releasing in slow chunks is the right move for Digimon, but so far this is a better product than Seekers was, though I still find it less enjoyable to consume than Liberator's manga, which more easily immerses you with its full-color art. Each chapter of Debug delivers a great piece of original art depicting a scene from that chapter, and it also embeds relevant Digimon card art. For instance, Yuuki might summon a Punkmon in the story by playing that card, and then just beneath the paragraph we'll see art of the real-world card. It's sort of a clever, low-cost solution, assuming they had a shoestring budget for the Liberator media. Because the Yuuki and Impmon dynamic is so fun, and because we so rarely get a female main character in Digimon stories, I'm interested in continuing with Liberator Debug, but it's definitely a tragedy that a web novel is all we're getting. I also think the text-based nature of Liberator Debug isn't quite working for the card game action sequences. When I was reading the Liberator manga, it was far more clear what was going on, and I almost felt like I was learning how to play the game. Here, when the web novel describes a match between Yuuki and the opponent, it's hard to get immersed in the action. As far as I can tell, the web novel is adhering to the actual rules of the card game, and hardcore Digimon card game fans might find that kind of cool, but I didn't think it made for particularly interesting reading material. To be clear, I don't think it's impossible to make reading about a game interesting. I never watched The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, but I read the novel it was based on last year, and I was on the edge of my seat reading about high-stakes chess matches inside that book. Maybe it's the translation factor, maybe it's the skill of the author, but the card game battles sections are just not captivating, at least not to me. So those are my thoughts on Digimon Liberator Debug, the good and the bad. The good, Yuuki and Impmon are incredibly likable. If the story proves to be as compelling as they are, Digimon fans are in for a real treat. The bad, the web novel format leaves too much to be desired. Given how interesting the characters and premise of Debug are, it's kind of tragic that we don't get to experience Yuuki and Impmon's adventure through a manga, an anime, or a game. It's a better web novel product than early Digimon Seekers, but not by a significant margin, I don't think. Of course, let me know what you think of Digimon Liberator, particularly Debug, since that's the focus of this video. Have you read it? Are you planning to? Is the whole web novel format too hard of a sell for you? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button for more Digimon discussion, more Beyblade, more 2000s anime retrospectives. We're so unbelievably close now to 50,000 subscribers, and I'd really appreciate the extra push.